Hello, everybody. My name is Paul. I'm a native Louisvillian, and I really appreciated Ben's talk here. It really helps lead into what I'm talking about today. My title today is Living is Speaking. And so a little more about me. Right now I'm studying, like she said, as an MA, MFT, but I have a background in spiritual care and hospital chaplaincy. So I was given the floor today for 11 minutes and 34 more seconds to explain exactly what I mean by living is speaking. And my real hope is that this talk will help make you all better communicators in life's toughest situations. Now let's see if you know what I mean. Have you ever struggled to find the right words to say to a friend who's hurting? To fire somebody, getting fired? We can all think of the uncomfortable, awkward situations of life in which we have to communicate with one another. I have learned from my fair share of these kinds of moments as a chaplain that there really is no right thing we can say. And actually, the more time we spend searching these circular thoughts, looking for the right things to say, the more time we're just wasting. What if instead of thinking and studying the proper words or phrases, those exhaustive bouts of circular thinking, we could find ways to trust in what I believe to be our very nature? And get this, I believe our nature is interconnected, just like all the rest of our speakers. But I believe this for a little bit different reason. Our nature is interconnected because everything we do, everything everyone in this room and out there on the internet is doing right now is an act of communication. Now, this isn't entirely my idea. Pioneers of strategic and brief family therapy methods came up with this idea at the Mental Research Institute 56 years ago in Palo Alto, California. They observed, treated, researched numerous families, watching their interactions, their communication. And they coined this idea, and it's a double negative, but bear with me. I think it's pretty powerful. You cannot not communicate. Now, if you're interested in reading more, some of these folks are Gregory Bateson, Don Jackson, or Virginia Satir. But what this idea really means is that living itself is always a communicative function. So if living itself is a communicative function, like these theorists have postulated, our interconnectedness is therefore organic, natural. So why are we searching so hard about the proper thing to say, studying books upon books about professional communication? What is an alternative? Well, today I'm going to look back with you at an experience from my time as a chaplain that I think will give some insight into alternative methods of communication, what I believe to be more effective ones in these awkward and difficult moments of conversation in life. Now, I had a few scenes in mind initially. I actually had 3. But for the sake of brevity, and that's when everybody should cheer because it's been a long, wonderful day, I've picked the one that means the most to me, and that's the most entertaining. Now, I just want to say steps have been taken to guarantee and ensure this patient's privacy. I was called in my first year of chaplaincy to the Medical Intensive Care Unit, the MICU, at an academic teaching hospital down in North Carolina. I was called by my pager. It was a Friday afternoon. And I got on the phone with the nurse, and she told me, we've had a suicide attempt. The man's fine, but we can't get him to talk. Nobody's talking to him. He's not talking to anybody. Can you come and try? So I walk in the room. Instantly, it took my breath away. It felt almost humid with grief and despair, like a cloud hanging all around this guy, preventing him from seeing any way forward, any way out, and certainly any way back. I went and sat down on the chair next to his bed. As I rifled through my chaplain's toolkit, probably like 15 minutes, looking for the phrases, those questions, the gestures. Should I touch his hand now? Should I stand? Should I lean in? All of these mental exercises. Anything to break the air of sadness and let in a sparkle of what I believe is God's love. I was floundering. I was failing. No connection was being made. Now, in a hospital, you have to have a sitter when you attempt suicide for 72 hours. So the sitter is sitting across from me, the bed of the patient right here. And I make eye contact with the sitter for a brief moment. And we both nod as if to say, there's no getting through to this guy today. I mean, who can blame him? But if by some miracle, my pocket, it started to quake. And then I heard what could only be the voice of God. It was an idiotic teenage metal fan that I'd come to know as Butthead. Butthead's familiar, let's see how I can do it. Everybody else. His familiar laugh was not the voice of God, or I don't know. But rather my cell phone, which first-year ignorant chaplain Paul in his noviceness forgot to put on vibrate. Pardon me, a knee-jerk reaction was as if it were to ring today. Fumble in my pocket, searching for that switch, turn it off. But then a moment of clarity happened. What if I just let this ride? Is it really that bad? Nothing else is working. A full 20 or 30 seconds, however long a ringtone is, of Butthead later. The patient laughed. The sitter as well. Shortly thereafter, conversation started flowing between the three of us. I even got this man up out of bed to take a little walk around the unit. What I can confidently say from this experience is I learned something important about our connections to one another. Everything about this man's state, his suffering, his despair, it had been said. It might have been all nonverbal. It might have been the catatonic stare he had into a blank television screen. What was I asking questions for? What information was I trying to glean? So what became my role? Why is it so important that Beavis laughed and that I let it happen? I'm talking today about presence. I was in the room for the first time when that idiot started laughing. Being fully human, allowing something unexpected, uncontrolled, a seeming professional blunder to bridge the cognitive gap between me and my patient. My words fell flat because they were unnecessary, just noise created out of internal anxiety, probably. Once my presence in the room was really manifest, once I dropped that anxiety, was confident to just be blundering and beautiful, that was when we connected, and that's when I did my job. So the upshot of all this for us today, for you today, is perhaps so simple we're overlooking it. Two things. First is, next time you're in that difficult conversation, trying to care for someone you love, instead of problem solving, finding those perfect words, learn to be fully present. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Be bumbling, blundering, and beautiful. And now the second follows from the first. It's even simpler. You can't be present without actually being there. In an age where it's so easy to substitute a text message, a Facebook message, a swipe right or left, an email for actual human contact, there's really no substitution. Keep your appointments, even the hard ones, and maybe make some more, like taking your poor mother out to lunch. Hi, Mom. So I hope this was a TED Talk. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I hope you enjoyed what you've heard. Thanks for your time, and thanks for your ear.